Hello, my friends, my family, and my fans. I am Andrew Ditch. I have been diagnosed with autism and intellectual disability. I am using my computer to speak for me. I am not using my AAC device due to the time needed to speak this. Today's video is about disability and everyday life tasks and what kind of assistance I need in order to do tasks such as to eat, take my pills, dress, shower, and clean my bedroom. Today I am going to talk about prompting and giving a person a set of or sequence of instructions to be able to do the things in everyday living more independently. A caregiver is a paid tool to support a disabled person. However, a service dog is an unpaid tool for support of a disabled person. Both the support animal and caregiver has the right to not be mistreated by others, including the person with disability. However, when the care plan is not being followed by caregivers and the care needs ordered from a doctor is not being followed by a caregiver that is responsible for my care as a disabled person, that becomes an issue. Now I know I have a diaper rash. I call my doctor to see him, so he records it. Then I give the report to insurance or caseworker to help me. That makes it their responsibility to protect me. I get frustrated as people refuse the medical orders and needs of mine, and I get frustrated with behaviors like my caseworker last week. That is not my choice to give my caseworker a hard time. I want to cooperate and function. They didn't want to accept the things I need to do that. That is why there are complaints that I can make. I just need to bite the bullet and learn to give in a little to make my complaints without the behaviors. That is the caregiver's job to do to help me, not cause me behaviors I can't cope with or not do. This is why I am making the videos on my channel. What is prompting? In the context of supporting developmentally disabled adults, prompting is the use of additional assistance or cues, such as verbal instructions, physical guidance, or visual aids, presented immediately before or during an activity to encourage a desired, correct response or behavior. The primary goal of prompting is to help the individual learn new skills and perform tasks independently over time by ensuring successful completion and reducing frustration and errors during the learning process. Key concepts: antecedent strategy. Prompts are delivered before or immediately after a task instruction is given, as an extra stimulus to increase the likelihood of a correct response. Prompt fading. Prompts are paired with a systematic process called fading, where the level of assistance is gradually reduced as the individual becomes more proficient, thus preventing prompt dependency. Reinforcement. Successful, even if prompted, responses are typically followed by positive reinforcement to strengthen the learning of the desired behavior. Types of prompts. Prompts exist on a hierarchy from most to least intrusive. The type of prompt used depends on the individual's needs and the specific skill being taught. Physical prompts involve physical contact to guide the person through the task. Full physical guidance. Hand over hand, the instructor fully guides the individual's body to complete the action. Partial physical assistance provides less intrusive physical guidance, like a touch on the elbow or wrist. Modeling prompts. The instructor or a peer demonstrates the entire desired behavior for the individual to imitate. Visual prompts use visual aids as cues. These can include pictures, photographs, written instructions, or checklists. Gestural prompts involve nonverbal cues such as pointing, nodding, or motioning towards the correct object or direction. Verbal prompts involve spoken words or instructions. Direct verbal, directly stating what to do, e.g., pick up the spoon. Indirect verbal, providing a hint or question, e.g., what's next? Positional prompts involve strategically placing the correct materials or items closer to the individual to make the correct choice more obvious. The selection and implementation of prompting procedures should be systematic and consistent across all caregivers and staff to ensure effective skill acquisition and promote the highest possible level of independence. What happens after prompts are not enough for a person with a developmental disability? Example of such thing: when I took my laundry to the basement that is not safe and has been deemed not safe by 2 in-home care agencies. One in-home care agency put a lock on the door for my safety. Another agency put it in my care plan. It is also in many psychological and neurological and occupational therapy evaluations from 1992. I will not be able to overcome the dangers of stairs. I will never overcome the limitations of not being able to shower myself. Let me take the shower example. I have a shower chair for my comfort and balance. I have a walk-in shower. I have the soaps I use for my sensory regulation. I have a detachable shower. I am not capable of using a tool called toilet wand or bottom wiper. The reason is I do not have the proper motor control to be able to effectively wipe myself with this. I asked about a bidet, and I was told that I will still need to be able to wipe with a bidet. With the same thing when I asked about long handle sponges for bathing. I wanted to know about these things that is like a brush that can help clean feet and toes. Due to diabetes, that is not safe or a recommended option. Because of this, I will always need help to take a shower. This is also why I cannot fit my diaper on myself. I was given good news on this. I may at some point be able to do this with practice and prompting and supports from a mirror and visual supports and someone to supervise and assist me. However, if I have a caregiver, then it is not something they need to focus on, as I need help with shower and wiping still. This is also why I am told by my doctor and occupational therapist that insurance will not pay for these DME, as no hope for me to be able to use independently. I can use AAC as I am using it right now. I can program my TD Snap app. I can program it using my computer and sync it to my device. I can program the device on the device itself. I do need help and guidance with what to put and pre-program on my device. I can use it mostly myself with some redirection from others for routine and communication needs. That is why insurance paid for it. What happens when prompting is not enough and no hope for independence in a certain skill? When a person with developmental disabilities cannot learn a skill despite sufficient support, including appropriate prompts and accommodations, the focus shifts from skill acquisition to ensuring their well-being, quality of life, and safety through alternative strategies. This often involves a multifaceted approach focusing on compensation, environmental modification, and supportive care. 1. Key actions that typically follow include accommodation and environmental modifications. Instead of teaching the person the skill, the environment is modified to bypass the need for that skill. Examples include using adaptive equipment, simplifying tasks, e.g., using pre-prepared meals instead of teaching cooking, installing safety devices like alarm systems, or modifying living spaces for accessibility. 1. Supportive services. Increased reliance on direct support professionals, DSPs, caregivers, or family members to perform the task for or with the individual. This can include assistance with daily living activities, financial management, or transportation, ensuring needs are met safely and effectively. 1. Behavioral support planning. A behavior specialist may be consulted to develop plans that help manage any challenging behaviors arising from frustration with the task or environment. The goal is to understand the function of the behavior and teach replacement behaviors or communication skills, rather than forcing skill acquisition. 1. Developing alternative skills. The team may shift focus to teaching a related, but simpler, skill, e.g., teaching an individual to use a picture communication board to request help with a task, rather than teaching the task itself. This is known as bypassing the deficit. 1. Reassessment and goal adjustment. The individual's person-centered plan is reviewed and updated by their support team, which includes family, caregivers, case managers, and other professionals. 1. Goals are adjusted to be more realistic and attainable, focusing on strengths and preferences, rather than areas of significant difficulty. Focus on quality of life. The ultimate priority is the individual's happiness, safety, and integration into the community. If a specific skill cannot be learned, the team works to ensure the person can still participate in meaningful activities and access their community with the necessary support. 1. The specific approach is determined through a collaborative, person-centered planning process that respects the individual's rights and personal preferences, with decisions often guided by their individual plan, e.g., Individualized Education Program, IEP, in school settings, or an Individual Service Plan, ISP, in adult services. 1. The definition for instructions: a direction or order, or detailed information telling how something should be done, operated, or assembled. I used my screen reader to read me what the AI from Google gave me, and I feel that I am not understanding this. I feel it is not fully correct what AI told me here. The reason for that is not everyone knows how to make pancakes without instructions. That is a form of a visual support to help guide someone to make pancakes. That is what I need to help me be able to do the skills. When I ask if prompting is the same as instructions, it gave me a different response. I can understand the response, as when staff helped me brush my teeth, they had me use the brush back and forth one time per section of teeth. Then they brushed and gave verbal instructions as they did it for me. This allowed me to cope and tolerate the toothbrush that is still not perfect for my being able to do this skill. But it allowed me to be more independent. So someone physically doing a task can be prompting and teaching me to do a task for hope of someday I can do the task. No, prompting skills for independent living are not the same thing as instructions. Instructions are a component of prompting, but prompting itself is a broader, more systematic teaching strategy designed to ensure success and eventually fade out assistance. Instructions versus prompting instruction. An instruction is the initial task direction given to the learner, e.g., wash your hands or put on your socks. It sets the stage for the desired behavior, but, by itself, may not be enough for someone who is still acquiring the skill to complete the task correctly. Prompting. A prompt is any additional assistance provided immediately before or during a task to guide the learner toward the correct response and prevent errors. Prompts can take many forms beyond just spoken words and are part of a planned process to build independence. Key differences in practice in teaching independent living skills. An instructor might say, "Time to brush your teeth," the instruction. If the person doesn't know what to do next, the instructor might use a prompt such as gestural prompt, pointing to the toothbrush. Visual prompt, showing a picture chart of the steps involved in teeth brushing. Physical prompt, gently guiding their hand to pick up the toothbrush. The ultimate aim of the entire prompting process is for the person to eventually perform the task with only the natural cue, e.g., seeing the sink and toothbrush or the time of day, and without any added prompts, thus achieving genuine independence. Prompting is not the same as instructions. Rather, it is an additional form of assistance or a cue used after an initial instruction or natural cue to help ensure a person performs a desired behavior correctly and successfully. Yes, a visual support with step-by-step illustrations for taking a shower is a form of prompting. This type of aid is considered a visual prompt or a permanent prompt, a consistent reminder in the environment. It serves as a guide for the individual, breaking down a complex task into manageable steps and helping them to remember the sequence and complete the activity independently. The goal is for the individual to use the visual aid as a support, eventually internalizing the steps and performing the task without needing the visual chart. Prompt fading. Prompting as a form of instructions. No. Promptings are not a form of instructions themselves, but a method used within the instructional process. Prompts are a teaching tool or strategy to facilitate the execution of an instruction. The sequence generally works as instruction prompt if needed to ensure success. Correct response. For example, an instruction is brush your teeth. A prompt could be pointing to the toothbrush, gestural prompt, or gently guiding their hand, physical prompt, to the sink to start the process. The instruction is the initial demand, and the prompt is the added assistance. A computer is super intelligent and capable of many functions. It requires input from someone to do the desired tasks. That is the same thing with how I behave, cope, communicate my symptoms, concerns, feelings, thoughts, and being able to provide myself the basic care such as food, medication, and personal care. How a Windows desktop computer works with how an autistic person with an intellectual disability may interact with the world and benefit from guided support. Analogy. A Windows desktop computer and supported autistic functioning. 1. The computer has powerful capabilities, but it needs the right inputs. A Windows computer can do incredible things: run programs, organize information, create documents, communicate online. But it doesn't start doing tasks on its own. It needs a user to click the right icons, clear instructions, the correct sequence of steps, support when something unexpected happens. Analogy. An autistic person with an intellectual disability also has strengths, skills, and internal programs, but may need guided input, step-by-step support, or co-regulation to activate those abilities in the right order. 2. The user interface helps translate complex processes into something manageable. Windows has a graphical interface, icons, menus, buttons, that simplify complicated internal processes. Analogy. Supports like visual schedules, AAC, modeling, or prompting act as the user interface for a person. They translate complex, abstract tasks into clear, concrete, accessible steps. 3. The computer needs the right peripherals to work smoothly. A computer works best when it has a mouse, a keyboard, a monitor, sometimes adaptive devices. Without these, the computer still has the capability, but it can't express it effectively. Analogy. Autistic people may need communication support, sensory tools, environmental adjustments, a regulated, predictable setup. These are the peripherals that allow their abilities to be accessed and expressed. 4. The computer can freeze or slow down when overloaded, when too many programs run at once, or when the environment is chaotic. A computer slows down, freezes, needs time to reset. Analogy. Autistic people may experience sensory overload, executive functioning bottleneck, shutdowns, or meltdowns. This isn't a failure. It's a system protection response, just like a computer preventing overheating. 5. Guided support helps the computer complete tasks reliably. A computer can perform complex tasks, but only when someone opens the right program, enters the correct information, troubleshoots errors, provides updates, and maintenance. Analogy. Autistic people with intellectual disabilities often thrive when others provide step-by-step guidance, help initiate tasks, offer reminders, or prompts, assist with transitions, troubleshoot barriers. This isn't doing it for them. It's supporting access, the same way a user supports a computer's functioning. 6. The computer has built-in security and needs respectful handling. A computer has firewalls, privacy settings, sensitive files, system vulnerabilities. It works best when people respect its boundaries and handle it with care. Analogy. Autistic people also have emotional boundaries, sensory limits, trauma histories, communication preferences. Respecting these is essential for safety, trust, and effective support. 7. With the right support, the computer performs at its best. A Windows computer can produce amazing results, but only when the environment is stable, the user understands how to interact with it, the system is maintained, the inputs are clear and consistent. Analogy. Autistic people with intellectual disabilities can thrive when their environment is predictable, supports are consistent, communication is accessible, others understand how to interface with them respectfully. This isn't about fixing the person. It's about providing the right inputs so their abilities can run smoothly. One-sentence version for training materials. A Windows computer has powerful abilities but needs clear input, the right interface, and supportive guidance to perform tasks, just like an autistic person with an intellectual disability who can do many things independently when others provide structured support, accessible communication, and a stable environment. Basically, AAC, caregiver for one-to-one behavior and medical and personal care needs, diapers, compression vest, earmuffs, and my stuffed animal are tools to help me with input and to help me interact as desirable human. I am not broken or defiant. I can work and do things. I want to follow instructions from others, but I need protection and safeguards from others. You safeguard a child's environment with put-up fences for stairs and dangerous rooms like kitchens. You use door alarms and locks for disabled adults who need that protection for not eloping. The caregiver needs to remain calm and not show frustration or lecture me during desirable outcomes. That makes it worse. The key is to help me with the things I need to prevent the desired outcomes, and to help me manage in the event of unexpected things that happen, as it is life that predictability is not possible. I am not dangerous or hateful person. I am reactive to my environment. I need simple accommodations from others to support me. Is your Xbox broken or defiant because you put in a PlayStation game into the Xbox? No. It works fine. I did not purposely refuse to play the game you wanted to play. Is your dog defiant as it barks or pisses in your house? No. There is a reason the dog is doing that. That is your job, to find out how to help the dog to pee outside, or learn not to bark when asked not to. The same thing for me using YouTube. The same thing when a police officer violates my rights and their duty. The same thing when my caregiver has a responsibility to feed me, change me, help me with appointments and social interactions and shopping and communicating. Then discharges me for reporting my butt bleeding due to diaper rash and the dirty laundry and housing conditions. It's their job to do that. Like it is the job of my AAC device to help me make decisions and communicate and self-care. If it breaks in the next 5 years, I can get it fixed. If a cop violates the rights of someone or a hospital or a caregiver, there are consequences for that. I now know the steps to better protect myself from when some says I need help bathing only as a sexual fetish or help diaper changes as a fetish, as that is sexual harassment to believe that when I have medical orders and needs for this help. If you're interested in disability topics such as treatment, support, accommodations, and rights, like this video and subscribe for more inclusive content. I will talk to you on my next video.